No more 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Crypto is on the rise, making that dough in the crypto paradigm. Watching it go, buying low, selling high. Riding the wave, I'm here to stay, living in the digital age. No banks, no fees, just decentralized. It's crypto paradise. Ooh. No banks, no fees.
Alrighty, let's kick this thing off, surfers. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. We are back with another daily live stream. Gotta love that theme song, don't we, folks? A lot to cover today. We're in a bit of a consolidation. Maybe a little bit of boredom is creeping in, a little bit of angst. Oh, wow, where's the market going? Is it going up, down? Nothing's happening. Don't worry, we're here to report that it's all going to be okay. We have some news stories to cover. Look, the adoption's not slowing down. Another Ethereum strategic reserve company came online yesterday, $425 million being raised to buy ETH through that entity. So the train is not slowing down. Just hang in there, folks. The boredom phase is nearly done. Next move is $130,000 Bitcoin. So looking forward to that. But in the meanwhile, we are here hanging out with you guys. Reminder, leave a comment, drop your address. We're giving out free monies every day, $10 to the best comment. Someone won 650 surf tokens yesterday, which is going to be worth a lot of money one day if he holds on to it. So don't forget to get engaged, get involved. But yeah, with that, why don't we take a look at the charts, see how things are acting at the moment, and then we can get into some news stories and analysis.
Sounds like a plan. Let's pull up the screen here. Here you go. This is kind of where you're getting the $30,000 target. Bitcoin continues to consolidate here. After these consolidations, usually is when you go on another run. You can always see when you do these bull flags to get just a general thesis idea of where they're going. You can do the flag and pull technique, which means you would take from the bottom of this move to the top of this move. You clone that and you put it over here, and this just gives you a general guideline. This is like 132,000. But we're saying 130,000. That'll be a big mental barrier. There'll be new all-time highs above the 123K mark. I think when you break 123K, a lot of people are like, "Oh, we're gonna go to 125,000 all-time high." It's like that's only a $1,500 move. That's not much of a new all-time high. I think you accelerate, you get this more of a flagpole look after this bull flag, and you get up here into the 130s, maybe 129.9 or something, because I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of sell orders at 130,000 Bitcoin. Nonetheless, I mean, to be this sideways while big whales from 2011 are selling 9 billion Bitcoin, another one sold 500 and something million from Galaxy Digital yesterday, I believe. So price is holding pretty firm. I know Michael Saylor deployed another $2 billion or something like that, so that's kind of offsetting some of the selling. But nonetheless, the Bitcoin strategic reserve narrative isn't slowing down. You got Jack Mallers and all them still looking to buy a lot of Bitcoin and add more Bitcoin per share as time moves on. Now, the one that we care about more exciting, more gains, more impact to your portfolio, of course, is Ethereum. We've been following this along, and this continues to just look like a repeat but extended version of this consolidation here. Again, we had this big move up to target 5% downtrend, 5% 5-day consolidation explosion. Now you have this big uptrend. You see the sell-off. Look, there's a sell-off. You see a minor new high. Look, minor new high. You see a sell-off right here to scare everybody out, but a higher low. That's right here. And then could this lead to the next explosion higher? Of course, you can still have a little bit of a downturn here, a little bit of weakness. We'll see what happens with the Fed meeting later today. That's going to be a big directionary thing. But the thing with the Fed meeting is there's only a 5% chance that they cut rates. So I think the market is already pricing in that no rate cuts happen. So unless Powell, number one, does no rate cuts and talks hawkish, I don't think there's going to be much impact on the market. We need to see a rate cut for there to be volatility to the upside, or super dovish, maybe we sideways to higher as well. I don't see a scenario in which we see a massive sustainable sell-off because they don't cut rates. What do you think, Ian?
There's always a bit of volatility on the FOMC meeting day, right? And it's going to come down to Powell's statements because there's really not a great percent chance that they end up cutting the rates today, right? It's pretty much all but guaranteed they're going to hold firm at the 4.5% level. So, it's going to come down to what he says in the press conference. He's usually very evasive. just saying, oh, it's data dependent. We'll do what the data, suggests that we do. And he just says that basically in 100 different ways over and over. So my guess is it's going to be a bit of a nothing burger. Maybe we'll see a bit of volatility around the time of the meeting. That's not uncommon, but this will be in the rear view by tomorrow, and the market will be looking forward to the next catalyst or the next meeting, or maybe it'll be the September meeting coming up, or what's going to happen with the next tariff deal, or whatever macro news stories in the zeitgeist at that time. So I'm not terribly worried about today. Very pleased to see Bitcoin just consolidating here, right? And this is it's a reminder that the violent moves up are actually the rarity. They're the anomaly. They're the exception. Normally, the market is in a state of either consolidation or actually downtrend, right? And there's data to show that if you're actually not in the market during those like top 10 days when Bitcoin, outperforms and just smashes it and does like 5, 8, 10% over the couple day time frame, you will miss out on most of that year's gains. So it's just a reminder that Bitcoin is normally consolidating. You're normally bored. You're normally, waiting. And it's just, to me, look, investing is about waiting. It is about patience. It's about timing your entries, just being patient, just waiting, and letting the market do its thing. So I'm very happy Bitcoin's consolidating here. I know the market's a little bit boring. Ethereum's consolidating, but there is still so much adoption happening in the background, so many positive news stories dropping day in and day out that we're inevitably going higher here. And I think it's great to see a lot of the FUD and the fear factors behind us with the tariff wars over and done with, the Middle East wars seemingly over and done with. I just think we have a lot of blue skies ahead of us. And, sure, some whales are selling from 2011, like you're saying. They'll run out of tokens if they're not already out. And then we're ready for our next move higher here when the time is right. So just hang in there, folks. Good time to do some research. Find your favorite altcoins. Take some positions in Bitcoin or Ethereum if you're looking along. It's going to be okay, and we just got to get through these moments of boredom, and then explosive move coming soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We see some weakness in some altcoins here after the last run with Ethereum down on the day as well. But the NASDAQ, Coinbase, all these crypto-related stocks are actually green today, or being called green. And you got SBET up 5%, BMNR up 5%. These are the Ethereum Strategic Reserve stocks. I think both of these are very undervalued at these valuations. Of course, SBET we bought at $9.55 here on the show, so you could be up over double on that, but still a big discount from the all-time high and a very good MNAV going on. BMNR, I said not really interested in SBET unless it falls back below $40. It's back below $40. I actually gave an official buy call on BMNR in the private Discord at $31.95 yesterday at the market open, so that one's up 5%. Shout out to you guys. It is interesting. All coins languishing. Ethereum actually red, but the strategic reserves are actually green, and that might be traditional finance looking to the future of what the possibilities are for Ethereum and those investment opportunities, and the fact that stocks are green right now ahead of the FOMC meeting that happens later this afternoon. So we'll see how it all plays out. The one thing that isn't red, the one network that isn't red, Solana's down below $180, Ethereum sideways to lower. The one thing that isn't down is Pulse Chain. Another green day. I mean, this thing, we read the monologue of Richard Hart where he's telling you, hey guys, up only season. I'm injecting capital. I'm coming back. Screw the haters. Watch what happens. And this thing has literally just been printing green candle after green candle each and every day ever since he did that. And the funny thing is, we called this cup and handle live on air. There's the green buy. I put on live on air 85% since July 15th. In 15 days, Pulse Chain up 85%, just slowly grinding higher. PTGC up 350%. Surf token up 86%. I mean, if you're watching, if you're tuning in, if you're getting Ethereum over to Pulse Chain, you have been winning. And of course, we're rooting for Ethereum because Ethereum drives all the altcoin markets. Ethereum drives Pulse Chain's future, and Ethereum drives our stock holdings of SBET and BMNR. So interesting times with the sell-off we're seeing in alts, but I think this just shows you how impatient people are, how PTSD people are about the bear market, and just wanting to pat themselves on the back, take some profits when they probably shouldn't be doing that. This is probably close to up-only season coming, and I would definitely be looking to get bags packed rather than get in stablecoins.
I mean, this always happens, right? You have a big run on alts, and there's a bunch of alts that have done those kind of 85% or 60 or 50% returns in the last 30 days or whatever when Ethereum went on that big run. So people are taking profits per the normal natural state of affairs. And if you're good at that, if you're good at buying low, selling high, and then waiting for the next entry as things get lower, and you buy in the perfect time, and then you wait for the next run, and you sell at the top, then you're a good trader, and good for you, and good job. But most people are not that. And most people will sell after their 20% gain. They'll wait for an entry that doesn't really appear because the market is in a bull market. And yeah, we might have a 5% sell off or whatever, but it's not going to get back to the level that you want it to. And then it'll go on a big run. You'll have missed out on 100%, 200%, 500% gains. So that's the normal, I think, state of affairs for average Joes out there trying to trade crypto. And they'll learn that sooner or later, and they'll eventually learn the best strategy is to buy, hold for long term. Wait for that 10 at that time. But it's a journey everyone has to go on. So yeah, I mean, look, for us, we're holding here. Things are consolidating. Not a big deal.
Yeah, we look at the Elliott Wave roadmap of PTGC. The next target, these lines have not been moved. When these are put on the chart, they're not adjusted. The next target, the next wave up would be new all-time highs for PTGC, which looks like we're about halfway there. So if you look at this and you do a sub-wave, you did like wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, you would have a wave 4 consolidation, and then you would go to new all-time highs. Then you'd have a bigger consolidation. But this is the opportunity of Pulse Chain, is when you zoom out, this is Elliott Wave theory for just the next move. I mean, look where you're at. It's a mere blip. And I expect a lot of Pulse Chain assets, PTGC, Surf, and a lot of other altcoins that were in fuck 9 to 5 are going to look a lot like this as this market starts to heat up. This is how subwaves divide higher, and this is how you get massive opportunities and financial freedom. And we're bringing them to you right here in Crypto Paradise. The reason you even do these, I know we like to go step by step, is because you got to start getting people to realize where we are heading so they don't sell out trying to flip 5% movers here and there.
Well, that's the key, right? I mean, you have to kind of see where this entire market is trending, and it's trending up. Some news stories to cover here. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And we're not the only ones talking about alt season, right? It's not as if we're the only guys out here banging the alt season drum here. But the gentleman at Signums, which I believe is a VC firm in the crypto space, are basically stating the reasons why we are going to have an alt season in Q3 of 2025, which is kind of the standard time frame. You're looking at September, and forward for an alt season to occur, and that's right sort of on par with the historical trends. And they cite all this, the standard reasons, supply squeeze on Bitcoin, not enough Bitcoin to go around, all these institutions, ETFs, strategic reserve companies sucking up all the supply, much more demand than is going out from the miners. They talk about the regulatory clarity that we've cited numerous times here, obviously the passage of the stable coin bill, the Genius Act, and we have another crypto bill that's in the works that's likely to get passed at some point here in the next month or so. And then of course the big run on Ethereum, right? The big run on Ethereum is what sort of is that catalyst for the rest of the alts to fly. And right now Ethereum's taking a bit of a breather after that basically 100% move up. And so alts are also taking a bit of a breather. Not a huge deal, not the end of the world, stay locked in. There's going to be a move higher here soon at some point, likely starting, I don't know, September. August tends to be a little bit quiet in the markets. July tends to be pretty good. August a little bit quiet. And then September, October, November, December, I mean, normally are the big months. So just hang on here, hang on to your hats, and just chill out. Enjoy life. Touch some grass if you're feeling a little bit bored with the market.
Yeah, just working some deals here. Got a DM here on Twitter. A project looking to spotlight Crypto Paradise in their new comic strip series that they're going to be doing. So I'm getting him a calendar link to set it up. It says Wonderful. They have an island in their comic strip, and they want to make it the VIP Crypto Paradise Island.
Wow.
Highlight what Crypto Paradise does for Pulse Chain and spotlight Surf Token and us as characters in their anime. So that could be interesting. Yeah, look, we need to do everything. We've been talking about, hey, how do we broaden the brand? How do we get the marketing going for Surf? Obviously, we're doing our own marketing, the benevolent token economics. We're providing value to other projects that are doing marketing services. We've had a lot of big winners, and part of that is because we're talking about it, our community is getting behind it, etc. But the other thing is we can't forget about the marketing for the Surf token itself, and we're working on a lot of collaborations behind the scenes and trying to line up a lot of things on Pulse Chain to kind of get a flurry out there. It's a little bit harder on Pulse Chain only because a lot of the standard KOLs and OGs and marketing agencies and tools haven't really done it yet for Pulse Chain assets. So it makes it a little tough because we don't want to be the ones to risk our capital on an unproven marketing scheme because they don't have Pulse Chain users. So you really just got to connect with Pulse Chain community members, Pulse Chain micro influencers, other projects, and go with the kind of the grassroots approach because I don't think the traditional crypto marketing will work just yet because there isn't a ton of onboarded to Pulse Chain from those communities. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Pulse Chain is its own sort of insular community, and there's pros and cons to that. The good news is that those who are already on Pulse Chain are very much willing to help you out and onboard you as a partner or do some cross collaboration. Join the Crypto Paradise community, maybe buy a bag. So there is a lot of that camaraderie within the Pulse Chain ecosystem. But the problem is that if you're a standard influencer who maybe is used to Solana, used to Ethereum, BNB, whatever, you're raising your eyebrow a little bit if someone approaches you like, hey man, you ever do any Pulse Chain stuff? People are like, what the hell is that? So look, there's definitely a lot of room to grow, a lot of room to run, a lot of room for further onboarding, whether that's end users, whether that's retail investors, whether that's influencers in the Pulse Chain. And that's one of our roles that, as we view it, right, as people with the YouTube channel and who go out there and like to talk about crypto all the time. Our job, one of them, is to help onboard people into Pulse Chain. We think it's an undervalued ecosystem. We love it. Surf is there. A lot of our holdings are there, and there's a great community. So that's one area that we're focused on. But at the end of the day, there's no shortage of existing Pulse Chain influencers or communities that we haven't yet tapped into. So plenty of opportunity here. Speaking of Pulse Chain, speaking of assets on Pulse Chain, we have our good friend Hex, who's joined us the past 3 or 4 days. Dude, remember to drop your address, by the way, so we can send you some Surf tokens for being an awesome community member and engaging on the live stream. But you have a question here about PLS, whether it's actually alive. Didn't you just yesterday, say that isn't it going to $1 or something like that? So now that you're questioning whether it's alive, that's a little confusing. But let's go PTGC, let's go UFO. That's the comments we can get behind. But PLS is alive and kicking, man. Didn't we just show you the chart?
Yeah, and I think he's just saying because every other rally for Pulse, everybody gets excited and then it dies off. I mean, when we saw this rally for this cup and handle, there was multiple times, I'll pull up the chart, where you have this big rally, then there's a sell-off, and everybody's like, oh, that was it. It only goes down 5-10%, and then it went on another run over and over off these lows. Everybody thought this was it. We're going to new lows, guys. A whale's dumping. Nope. Rally. Oh, that's it. Rally. Rally, dump. Rally, dump. Rally. Got to the cup and handle target. Big dump. Oh, that was it. That was fun. And now we just keep grinding higher. And I think Pulse Chain more than anyone, since Pulse Chain is a Cycle 1 network, meaning it has only existed during this bear market and with Ethereum going to $1,500, people are very hesitant to think that any of these rallies follow through, and that is leaving a lot of people behind sideline. I've been trying to hop in a bunch of spaces of Pulse Chain, and I don't really shill surfing there, but I have my face in there. I talk about Pulse Chain, I talk about Richard Hart, because that's how the funnel works, and that's how people get aware of you in Crypto Paradise, and eventually the Surf token down the line. And just, there is always 2, 3, 4 people in the room amongst all the bulls. A couple people are like, nah, I'll buy Pulse Chain when it goes to a new low. I was in spaces here when this was happening. See, told you guys, tops in. Was in a spaces here. See, told you guys, tops in. Oh, now what? See, told you guys, tops in. Like, when are those guys going to buy? They're saying they're not buying unless you go to a new low, which is all the way 136% ago, 140% ago. So it's like, good luck. This is a prime example of what's happening on Pulse Chain is what happened on BSC and what's happened in previous cycles where you're so certain that the asset keeps going down to the right that you never actually get your position for the bull market cycle. And my question to those people in those spaces is, why are you even in Pulse Chain if you think it's only going to go down to the right? Are you only here as a trader now? Because you spent 2 years evangelizing Pulse Chain, learning Pulse Chain, using Pulse Chain, and now when it finally starts ripping, you're going to fade it and say you're waiting for new lows. That's just kind of silly. That's like you going to work, perfecting your craft, getting a raise, getting a promotion, and then deciding, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm going to go ahead and quit. That makes absolutely no sense. So you know what? As Richard Hart always,
it's like
Richard Hart always says,
across all of crypto, right?
Right.
A good buddy of mine, he bought into Bitcoin on the lows, and then sold at like 85K because he worried about whatever Trump was doing. Like I'll buy in, I'll buy in at spec at 70. It's at $120,000 now. You're done. Like you're out of the market now, bro. Like that's it. You had a good run and it was great. You made profits, but why not just hold? Why not just hold? Like remember what is coming. Remember that we are in the early phase, and we just showed you plenty of information about alt season, which is on the horizon. We know that Bitcoin, Ethereum, it's being adopted, it's being accepted by the big institutions, by Wall Street, by politicians, by nation states. Where do you think we're going to be in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years? And look, if you're really good at trading, go ahead and do that. But most people are not really good at trading, right? And you'll sell, think, oh, it's definitely going lower. Dude, it's got to go lower, right? And then I'll double up my bag, and you get left behind because we're in a bull run. We are absolutely in a bull run. So there's no reason to be selling right now unless you desperately need the money, or, man, you found some gem that you want to ape into that's a lower market cap than your existing holdings, which just did a 10x. Like, okay, fine, that's a different scenario. But yeah, plenty of people are going to get left behind this bull run thinking, oh, it's going to hit lower. It's going to hit my target. Like, it's not going to hit your target, man. Don't let greed. That's the greed. That's the greed that overtook.
Before Pulse was launched, Richard Hart was asked, like, hey, are you guys going to pay for KOLs and influencers and, placate the bears? And he's like, nope, shake them all out, and those guys can all buy higher. Fuck them. And that's, what I say to those guys you've been here for 2 years, evangelizing Bulls Chain, learning it, getting it added to your MetaMask, doing all this stuff, and now you want to wait for another 70% dip? Like, I feel like those people just enjoy being pessimistic, enjoy the bearish moves. Like, I don't understand how you can't be excited when the founder is bull posting, when Ethereum is ripping, when the chain is up 163% off the low, when altcoins are doing, going from Surf launching at 11K and it's at 2 million. PTGC launched at 50K, it's at 180, 200 million. RhinoFi launched at 40K, it's at 1 million. Like, what are you doing with yourself right now? You are just sitting on stables on the network that you've been evangelizing so long when there's green candles everywhere to be seen. I don't understand it.
Well, it reminds me of that old adage, old Wall Street adage that I absolutely love. Bears sound smart, bulls get rich. And it's simply because the market, outside of those bearish periods of time, those brief moments of time, the black swan events, when Israel bombs Iran, when COVID hits out of nowhere, when Trump pulls a trade war out of his ass. Other than those moments, the market is basically up only. And this applies to stocks. This applies to crypto, at least the majors, at least the big caps, not the memes. That's a different animal. It applies to real estate. Pretty much all investments are up only if you take a long enough time horizon. So it's actually easy to get rich in crypto if you're just bullish and you're just holding on, you're just like patient. Like, I'd love to have the guy on who bought 50 grand of Bitcoin in 2011 or 2013 and just sold it for 9 billion. That is how you make it, guys. That is how you change your life through investing. We're obviously not all going to replicate those kind of returns, those kind of outcomes, but we can learn from a guy like that, right? Invested, had conviction, held through the ups and downs, was patient as fuck, and then sold after 10 years and changed his life forever and his family life and had generational wealth. Those who are trying to make their 5% returns here, there, trading in and out. Look, if you're good at it, fine, but most people are not good at it. Well, what's easier? It's just buying assets you believe in, supporting them, and being patient, letting the market do its thing. So, but some people never know. Some people are pessimists by nature, and that's just how they're going to be.
We got a tweet from the White House here, just out. The Q2 GDP shatters expectations with the economy growing at 3%. Donald Trump, of course, did a post here. I don't know if this was on Truth Social or Twitter. 2Q GDP just out 3%, way better than expected. Too late, this is referring to Too Late Powell, must now lower the rate. No inflation. Let people buy and refinance their homes. Now, we weren't really talking about the expectations here for the GDP, but we have been talking about how we believe that inflation is at or below 2% due to trueflation numbers. And now this kind of solidifies our backs, what we were talking about yesterday with inflation being right where it should be, and interest rates need to come down. Now, you can see he's leaning into let people buy and refinance their homes. He's trying to get the people on their side, because I'll tell you what, you go to buy a car, interest rates are enormous. You go to try to buy a home, the whole housing market is kind of stagnant, because like myself, I bought this during COVID and I'm at like a 285. What in my right mind, even if I think I got the dream house available to me or a good deal, why would I sell this and then get into a 6% mortgage note? That's just, when you're looking at 30 years, that is insane amount of interest. And a lot of people are also doing the same. So until interest rates come down, people aren't going to be willing to sell out their 2.85, their 3.5 interest mortgages to try to get into a 6 and a 6.5 mortgage. It just doesn't
No,
make
it's a massive problem.
mathematical
The
sense.
entire real estate market's been frozen for multiple years now because of the exact problem you just identified. And that weighs on many different industries: construction, realtors, and then the everyday Americans who are trapped in homes they don't want to be in, or perhaps they're looking to break into the housing market, but interest rates are too high and housing prices are way too expensive. So it's a massive problem that's affecting all aspects of the economy, I would argue. I think the problem with Trump's approach, if I'm going to be honest, in terms of Powell, right, is if the Fed is trying to sort of put out this, oh, we are above politics, we're not influenced by the president, we are a true independent body, we are independent, you can't influence us. The problem then is if you push them really hard, they may be even less likely to sort of acquiesce to your demands, because then they would appear to be not independent. So that is the risk. I get what Trump is doing from a sort of a populist standpoint, get the people behind him. Look, I think if you polled 9 out of 10 Americans, except maybe like that economist with his head up his ass, they're going to tell you the interest rates are too high. They're going to tell you, yeah, cut the damn rates. I mean, every American is basically behind a rate cut at this point. Nobody likes this. But the problem is, if you pressure Powell too much, that may cause him to say, "Oh no, well we can't appear to be, swayed
Right.
by politics." So, look, I don't know, frankly, if there is anything Trump could do, or anyone could do to get Powell to do anything different than Powell is going to do what he wants to do. You know what I mean? It's like my kid.
Yeah, I agree.
I can't force him to do shit half the time, and like you can threaten them, you can yell, you can scream, you can take your toys away. Sometimes nothing works. They're going to do what they want to do. So I don't know. I mean, I think look, the good news is Powell's term is up in May 2026. We have 9 months left of Powell. And then you better believe Trump is putting in someone who actually will cut rates. And so, worst case scenario, okay, mid 2020. And by the time we're 2-3 months away from that, people are already looking forward, right? The market's always 3 months looking ahead anyway. So people will be looking forward, okay, who's the next commissioner going to be, and is he going to be dovish, et cetera, and then the market will react accordingly. So this Powell regime is almost done, regardless of what happens today. But I wonder if Trump's strategy, gonna work. I don't think it will. And
Yeah, because I mean, I agree with you. If you're pushing too hard, then it becomes they can't do it, because then it does seem political. What I would say to that is, look, the data is there. Nothing Trump is saying is incorrect. I mean, the data that the government is seeing is there. The data that Trueflation has is there. And if you have targets as an independent body of the Fed, because I already think they're political. We can get into what they did before the last election with all the super cuts right before the election. I mean, that's as clear as day.
And then no cuts since
yeah, exactly. It's just kind of it's. I mean, it's so obvious. Yeah. It's bad. It's bad, and that doesn't look good as the global reserve currency of the world either. So, but that's probably why Bitcoin's 120,000. But the data is the data. If you have the moving goalposts that you want GDP to be within a range, it's there. There was like 9 bullet points. I don't have the tweet available, but there was like 9 bullet points that the Fed wanted in order to cut rates. And within the first 6 months of his administration, Trump and the administration has hit all 9 of those bullet points, all 9 of those goalposts, and now seemingly the goalposts are still moving. We'll see what happens today. Maybe they'll surprise us. But if your teacher tells you do these 9 things, and then you guys can go to recess, and then you do all 9, and they add a 10th. Well, that's not very fair, is it? So that's kind of what's going on at a high level. We got a bunch of big babies in the room arguing about things. When you look around the rest of the globe, they're all cutting rates. The economy's doing its thing. The inflation's doing its thing. Let's get it done, and let's make it better, not only for the American people in the sense of credit card interest rates are at the all-time highs, and debt from credit card for individuals is at all-time highs, so that just makes your civilians even more poor. Auto industry is getting killed because of the financing rates. The housing industry is stagnant because we went from near zero rates all the way to where we are in the matter of a couple of years. I mean, you also have to understand we're about to refinance a large portion of national debt. And who pays that? We do, with our tax dollars. So, let's have a sense of urgency here with what's going on a broader scale for civilians and for the national debt, which the whole initiative and why people voted for Trump, one of the big things was reduce spending and reduce national debt. And the Fed here has the ability with an interest rate cut to affect that by hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars on the refinance of debt that needs to happen.
The problem is the Fed, instead of just looking at those standard data points, which they should be doing, the 9 elements that you just touched on, they're now worried about a phantom thing that may happen in the future because of particular policy now, aka tariffs. They're worried that what will happen when these tariffs are finally put in place or whatever. I know they've actually been in place for many months now. What's going to happen with inflation then? So it's kind of like they've basically given themselves max amount of wiggle room because they're saying, hey, we don't know what could happen, and therefore we need to just keep things where they're at. Instead of looking, they're normally looking at the data from the past, which also, by the way, has its flaws. But that's normally the standard approach. But now they're saying, okay, well, we don't know what's going to happen, therefore we need to keep interest rates where they're at. I don't know. I'm actually extremely disappointed in how this Fed is operating. I guess my only point is that they're going to do whatever they're going to do. There's nothing anyone can do to because they've just basically, like you said, moved the goalpost. And we have to, the worst case scenario, wait until Powell's out of office, right, in May of next year, which is not that far from now. And then I'll just add one more thing. My point I made, I think yesterday, was at a certain point the market seemingly stopped caring what the Fed does. I know it's not good if your business is related to the auto industry or your business related to the real estate industry. I get it, but from a financial market standpoint, we're at all-time highs S&P 500 and Nasdaq. We're at all-time highs Bitcoin. Ethereum is going to be breaking all-time highs relatively soon here. So the market kind of is just shrugging at this point and saying, "All right, Powell, your head's up your ass, but we're gonna run."
All right. Enough Powell talk. We'll talk more about that probably later this afternoon and tomorrow after this FOMC meeting. But let's look at some charts. Let's get you guys the alpha. Make sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and leave a comment section in the comment section below with a question and your wallet address to be a winner of our $10 daily live show giveaway, giving away money or surf tokens or PLS each and every day. All you gotta do is leave a comment, guys. We're trying to get the comment section more active. We get thousands of viewers, and the comments are pretty sparse. I know you guys are just taking the alpha and making the gains, but help the algorithm. Hit that like button and retweet button, of course. Here is the teddy bear cup and handle. We've been doing videos on this, posts about it, live shows about it, and what do you know? Target number 1 is completed. What is next? Well, you probably need to tune into the recorded video that will be done today. But that is the target, completed 167% gains since July 20th. In 10 days, Teddy Bear has played out perfectly only on Pulse Chain. We got the Surf token. We got the Surf token and the falling wedge pattern that we've been talking about down here. Bullish revival here, up 80% off the lows. You got rejected, you broke out, and now we're sitting here today. It looks like there is another individual who's been selling in $500 clips. He only has a couple $1,000s left, so shout out to you for selling. I guess you want those 80% gains, but the upside potential of Surf token, not financial advice. If we don't get to $100 million, it's a failure, and I don't know what I'll do. I'm not going to say pull the John McAfee where he says cut off his wiener and eat it on stage like a hot dog, but much higher upside potential for Surf token. Got a lot of things cooking, and we just need to keep it grinding. And looks great from a TA perspective with this bullish breakout. As long as you can hold this downtrend line, so even if it comes back here, but holds this, your upside objectives are new all-time highs above $3.6 million market cap, not including passive income for holding. So shout out to everybody watching who's in the surf token. Yesterday, we had RhinoFi. We've been telling you at the lows that it was basing. They have this big buy and burn coming very soon. And look at this. Every time we go live, it is higher, higher, and higher. Up another 5% since the last live show. Back near $1 million market cap. And I think it's about 5 days from now where they're going to have 600 million, 700 million, 800 million PLS that is going to go into a buy and burn of the Rhino token. That is based on their token economics, where every 28 days, the revenue that is earned by the protocol is used for a buy and burn of Rhino, swapping PLS to Rhino and burning it out of existence forever. Of course, we're rooting for Rhino because Surf DAO members were told about Rhino at launch at 40K market cap. Now it's at 900K. And also because Rhino has a large LP position with the Surf token. So when Rhino does well, it drags Surf up higher, creates volume, etc., etc. And I was telling you that RhinoFi as a company does want to buy a 200,000 Surf token position. So RhinoFi as a project can be in the DAO group. That is pretty cool, and I'm waiting for that.
Let's go RhinoFi. I want to point out something real quick that I actually just noticed on RhinoFi. There's only 205 holders. I mean, this thing is a baby. If you guys like getting into assets early before the masses find out, before there's 1,000 holders, 5,000 holders, because that's where this is going in the next 6-12 months. 205 holders. This is basically like a pre-sale. I mean, you're in before everybody, and it's already at $1 million market cap, by the way. And they have how many? What is that in terms of actual dollars? Is that like 30 grand worth of PLS ready to deploy into the chart?
Yeah, something like that. And I still got a couple more days.
Like, what is this? What is this charging cycle done in like 2 days? 3 days?
Yeah.
This thing is going to skyrocket because 30 grand on a low cap like this. I mean, this is going to absolutely fly. And then guess what that green candle is going to do? Oh my God! What's this Rhino? Look at this Rhino. It's gonna shoot the top of like the DEX screener trending, hot token on on Pulse Chain, whatever. What is this Rhino? Oh my God! How did it do this massive move up so fast? Oh well, you know what? Every month they accumulate like 30 grand of their PLS and they inject it into the chart and burn the tokens. Wait, what? That's what they do? Holy shit! I got to 8-bit in this thing. Well, if you've been listening to Crypto Paradise, you would have been in at 205 holders instead of the 4, 5, 6, 700, 800, 900, 1,000 holders that's coming. So, take the information, do with it what you will. But, man, 30 grand into a low cap like this, it's going to absolutely moon.
Yeah, and I think people are starting to catch on, or people are starting to listen, because look at that chart. Obviously, Pulse Chain has been doing well. But again, RhinoFi does well. It helps drag Surf token up. It creates volume, and I'm excited for continuing collaboration with those guys over there. We also have a Crypto Paradise bag that is paired with Rhino in their platform, earning passive income, and that's part of our passive income generation for buy and burns of Surf tokens. So we want them to keep humming along, because that means more passive income and PLS for Crypto Paradise, which means more buy and burns of Surf. This is how it all works, folks. This is why Pulse Chain is unique. Collaborations, partnerships, and revenues from Crypto Paradise are being used to pump the Surf token over time. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but slowly and surely, buys and burns, buys and LPs, buys and reflections, we'll create our own floor on the Surf token, and eventually people continue to catch on, and that's how we continue to go to new all-time high after new all-time high this bull cycle. We got Emit token here quickly, back up again. These guys have been humming. $1.22. We're in at 49 cents and earning passive income. You can even solo stake Emit and earn 170% APR. So I don't know what you guys are doing. That one is continuing to be a massive yield generator. And I think why that one does so well is people who farm earn Emit, and instead of having to sell Emit for profits, stake it and earn PDI. I mean, that's a great incentive to hold when you can just earn stables every day. We collect the stables. I collect the stables every morning. $5 here, $10 there, $20 here. Swap half of it to Surf. Swap half of it to, right now I've been swapping it to X protocol. And the technical analysis on this is right here. You have the triangle here. And this is a triangle after a sell-off that's been rejected at this overhead line many times. What happens when it breaks out, Nick? Well, the measured move is above 65 cents, currently sitting at 35 cents. So continue to fade if you want. But when this breaks out, this can come down again. As long as it holds this white trend line, even when it breaks out, you're going to 65 cents and beyond. X Protocol helped launch a Surf token. X Protocol is the third largest LP of the Surf token. So, look, we're rooting for them as well. And the chart looks actually very, very bullish. X Protocol also has a lot of liquidity with PTGC, which is awesome to see. So there's kind of the alpha. There's the charts. We met the target on Teddy. Rhino looks poised to explode due to a buyback and burn. And X Protocol looks poised to explode due to a bullish triangle here. So what else you got going on? What are your thoughts? What altcoin gems are around?
Wyckoff's thought on the live stream so far, and I think the market in general. I've just figured out how to enable this.
There we go. Now we got it. See, I don't know. I can't do that online.
Not bullish enough. Which I think, by the way, was the title of yesterday's live stream. So shout out to, is this Todd, by the way? Could that be Todd?
Probably. Yep.
Oh, what's up, Todd? How we doing, buddy? Hope to see you on the retreat. Thank you for filling the form. We're gonna be drinking some pina coladas on the beach in a couple months here, bud. But yeah, great to have you on the show. Yeah, everyone's not bullish enough. I mean, the market's going higher. I don't know what you sellers are thinking. But then again, I don't know what sellers ever think. I've been holding Bitcoin since I made that terrible mistake to buy that stupid TV. Ever since then, I learned that you don't fucking sell your Bitcoin. You don't fucking sell. You hold. You hold. And then you end up like that guy that just sold $9 billion worth and retire your entire bloodline for generations to come. So, good luck to the sellers. I wish you well, but you're not bullish enough. Everything's going higher. Look at that chart too, man. Pulse chain's just ripping.
This is a UFO. We talk about PTGC a lot. We don't talk about UFO too much. This is like the farming equivalent to PTGC. It's launched by the same people. What's unique about UFO is 1% of their taxes go towards buying and burning PTGC. So when this thing is running, that is just adding fuel to the fire for PTGC. And, this broke out of a similar consolidation. It doesn't have the cup and handle, but it's got more of an Adam and Eve. So you got the dick here, you got the vagina here on the rounded bottom, and then upside objective would still be higher, around 5,000 to 6,000. So this thing could keep running, and when this runs, it just keeps fueling PTGC and other tokens within the ecosystem. So shout out to everybody who's more heavy on UFO, or the people who are buying UFO as they see it as the cheaper PTGC. Same dev, same team, so they hop in here. We own UFO. We just don't talk about it as much because, I still believe PTGC will continue to outperform it due to the fact that when this does good, it just buys and burns PTGC, which just fuels PTGC's performance. So shout out to Pulse Chain. We got Adam and Eve, dick and vaginas over here. We got cup and handles. We got the double titty bottoms, whatever all the degenerates are saying over on Twitter. I'll take it as long as it produces green candles and money in the wallet.
My son would have loved that potty humor. So shout out to that. But yeah, look, Pulse Chain's doing great. And it's a reminder of the interview we just did with the PTGC founders. And that interview is dropping soon, by the way, on the Crypto Paradise channels. He was talking at length about how Ethereum and Pulse Chain are interrelated, right? And that's because of liquidity pools to tie them together. And Ethereum just went on this big run, So I'm not surprised to see Pulse Chain doing well. But also Richard Hart. We've been on the show talking for many months that once Richard Hart is unshackled, right? He's out there shilling and he's doing his real world marketing, he's bold posting, etc. That Pulse Chain assets are going to outperform, and those two factors just aligned, right? Ethereum went on a big run, so Pulse Chain's following suit, and then man, Richard Hart is back out there doing his thing. I can't wait for the real world marketing to start. I know we shared one of his recent posts, and it's a little cryptic, as his posts often are, but to me it sent a pretty clear signal that this real world marketing campaign is about to start, where he's going to literally be sending letters or physical mail to people around the world. I don't know how he determines who's getting these letters, because if my mom got a letter about crypto, I'm not sure she would take action, but hopefully he finds the targeted audiences and gets to the right people. But that looks like it's about to start. Then his massive war chest, right? And I know the SAC wallet, I guess, isn't technically his to deploy, so let's just set that aside for a minute. But he's got his own money, lots of it. And there's little doubt in my mind that that will start to be deployed into the chart on Pulse Chain. And I think we're just now seeing what happens when there's just speculation of what's going to come. None of these things have come to fruition yet. Just a bull post, a cryptic bull post to kind of insinuate that this is coming. And look at all these assets start to run. So what happens when 10, 15, 20 million dollars worth of Ethereum starts being moved into Pulse Chain vis-a-vis Richard Hart's own personal wallets? Where do we go then? So, it's funny. We were having a conversation yesterday. Someone, Pulse Chain's dead, yada yada. I don't know. For me, look, I have my big holdings on, I have my main holdings on Bitcoin, Ethereum. So I'm relatively risk averse. But if you're talking about, your altcoin investments, I'd rather be in something that's undervalued and has a chance to do 100 times than just have a bunch of BNB and hope that it goes to 1,000, which it will. But I'd rather be in Pulse Chain than one of these big other layer ones. From an investment standpoint, I think there's just so much more upside. So for those watching the show, take a little bit of a risk. Jump in with some of your holdings, some of your assets that you're looking to deploy in the market right now. Maybe not your Bitcoin, but something else. Your random alts that are dead. Move them on into Pulse Chain. The water's warm. Oh, you're muted.
Can't believe we didn't talk about this yet on the show. 10th birthday of Ethereum. I think I saw a tweet from Joe Lubin. It was something like 10 years, 16 upgrades, and 0 downtime for Ethereum. And that's part of why Ethereum remains the number one scaling solution, the number one smart contract platform in crypto. Obviously, it has a first mover advantage. But remember, quickly after Ethereum launched, I'm going to give you guys a history lesson. Quickly after Ethereum launched, they launched with too many founders. There was like 10 of them, 9 of them. A lot of different disagreements. And they wanted to roll back the Ethereum chain. That's what Ethereum is currently. So they split off and made Ethereum Classic. And Ethereum Classic had its moment in the sun in 2017 as well. They were competing with each other, and Ethereum still won. You had Charles Hoskinson then break off and do Cardano. And Cardano's had its moment in the sun, but Ethereum is still larger. And now you have other founders doing their own things with other layer 2 solutions as well. But, Ethereum is still here. Is it going to be the best performer? I don't think so. I think you still have high possibility of new competitors or Pulse Chain outperforming just from the nature of them starting at such a lower market capitalization. It doesn't mean they'll flip Ethereum. I'm not saying that. But as far as pure investment gains, I think it will be outperformed by some of these other layer 1s and layer 2s. But 10 years, 16 upgrades, no downtime. You got institutions FOMOing in. You got strategic reserves starting to happen. And, it's an opportunity for traditional investors to soon earn yield from Ethereum with their Ethereum spot ETF. So things are looking bright. Happy birthday to Ethereum, whether you like Vitalik or don't, whether you like the network or don't. It is really still driving market sentiment around the risk-on assets within crypto, which is also already a risk-on economy.
What about Ethereum? I know there's plenty of viewers of this show who are maxis in one ecosystem or another. In fact, there was a gentleman I saw made a comment yesterday like, Ethereum shit, it's, the protocol's garbage, it's changed too many times, it's infinite supply, basically he was a Bitcoin maxi, obviously. And that's fine, dude. You're entitled to your opinions and you're entitled to make investment decisions based on your thoughts and beliefs. But to me, Ethereum has already won in terms of a smart contract platform. Yes, there's going to be faster, there's going to be cheaper, there's going to be others that outperform for moments in time. But if you're talking about the smart contract ecosystem that is going to be most adopted by the biggest and most powerful institutions and those running stablecoin, launching them stablecoins, and the Wall Street head honchos making decisions on where to deploy capital. And, to me, Ethereum has already won. Now, again, that's not to say that you won't have chains come up that will outperform from a price standpoint, but from an adoption standpoint, I think once you get the kind of network effects, right, and you have the acceptance from the regulatory agencies, right, it's not a security, we know that. When you have the ETF already there and deployed and doing so well, when you have all these institutions buying in, when you have companies now going to be launching their stable coins on it, to me, it's already won the sort of like, at least from the standpoint of the mainstream right? Maybe not the crypto degen side of things. Maybe that's a Solana thing, at least for now. Who knows? Maybe if the Pulse chain comes in and captures that side of the market. But from like a mainstream institutional standpoint, I don't see another smart contract platform now outperforming Ethereum from a in terms of adoption. So to me, yeah, I mean, great work. The price is lagging though. Yeah, the price of Ethereum is still lagging, is still undervalued. So take that information and do with it what you will. Maybe that means it's not a good investment, or maybe it just means that there's a lot of upside here still to be had. That's my take anyway. So congrats to Ethereum. Happy 10th birthday. Most cryptos don't survive a month, let alone 10 years. So it's certainly a milestone. And to me, I just don't see that. I don't see another smart contract platform supplanting Ethereum from that standpoint of institutional adoption.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna not in the foreseeable future, and I think even if it does happen, the chance of it being a layer two of Ethereum is pretty high. Meaning like, hey, this is a layer two like base or something where it's like, hey, this is still a layer two of Ethereum. It's using Ethereum tech, but it has more throughput or faster transactions, cheaper transactions, a better builder set or whatever. So that's the only thing I can really see, at least in the immediate future, meaning in the next few years. I think EVM compatibility is still the best smart contract development tool out there. That's why so many people do it. And that's Pulse Chain, that's BSC, that's Base, that's Ethereum, that's Arbitrum, that's Polygon. All these top players all use the same development side, the EVM compatibility that Ethereum kind of was the founder and frontier mover on.
Yeah, I mean, and there are going to be bespoke chains, custom chains that do unique, different things, but I just think they're not going to supplant Ethereum in terms of TVL, just overall volume, usage from these big players. I just don't see that happening. And that's kind of a typical story in tech in general, right? Like you have a first mover, and it's kind of hard to supplant once they get the network effects. Once everyone's kind of accepted, like there's probably plenty of examples of like technology that might be better than Microsoft, whatever Microsoft has built over the year. There might be examples of okay, remember when BlackBerry was hot for a while, but like Apple still won over time. So there's just these examples of once a company's big enough, entrenched enough, and everyone's using its tech, even if a better quote better like faster, cheaper version comes, it's very hard to supplant the one that have the network effects. So yeah, we'll see how things play out, but I still think Ethereum is massively undervalued from an investment standpoint. A lot of upside there from adoption standpoint too. I mean, I still think we're early days in terms of mainstream adoption of crypto, right? Like I'm not talking about the degen stuff, but mainstream adoption, we're still really at the early days. But it's heading in that direction. It's going to be a really fun and exciting next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, and that should be your time horizon if you're in this space and watching the show.
Yep. And I think we kind of covered everything. I would just say I think you need to remain bullish. I think you need to remain vigilant, do your own research, due diligence, get positions, earn the passive income, be active in communities, shill your own bags. There's a lot of people that are sitting on their hands right now. A lot of people in disbelief. And here you got the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. It's very liberal. This is a Democrat blue city by whole, especially the media. U.S. economy rebounds surprisingly strong 3% in the second quarter. That's not surprising with anybody who doesn't have their head in the sand, and we've been calling that here on Crypto Paradise. We've been talking about what's going on. The golden age of America is upon you, and all these people sitting on cash and capital will be left behind. And hopefully you've been in the markets. We've been calling for the V-shaped recovery, new all-time highs in Bitcoin, and now we're calling for new all-time highs in Ethereum. So get active, get participating, watch the live shows, be smarter than your neighbors, be smarter than your coworkers, and you won't be sitting in that cubicle as long as they will be.
Bears sound smart, bulls get rich. Be bullish, be invested, think long term. You're going to make it. To me, none of it's surprising, right? When you see GDP numbers like that, it's not surprising. And maybe, happening as fast as it did and whatever, okay, or you could say, but, we were going to rebound. We were going to continue to grind higher on the stock market, on Bitcoin, on ETH, and on your favorite altcoins. Things are all going higher, guys. So that's why you tune in. It's your daily dose of bullishness, or it's a reminder to think long term. It's a reminder to be in these markets. Don't be that guy on the sidelines. Oh, I'm waiting for that perfect entry. A crash is coming tomorrow. Black swan event alert. Like, dude, no. You're not going to get it right. Just stay long. Just stay invested until you want to retire. and then maybe you'll get a villa on the beach next to ours in Tulum. All right, guys, good stuff today. We have to jump on a call actually with a project that we're looking to help launch here called Tordes. Finally, looks like they're launching next week, so we'll have some news on that. We'll have some content going out around them as well. Great product they've built, trading platform. So going to be chatting with the founder now. But thank you guys for your time today. No one dropped their address, so no one's winning the $10, the free surf.
It might have been somebody. It might have been somebody that dropped it on Twitter. We gotta look. Twitter gets way more views than YouTube because YouTube we just started like 3 or 4 days ago. But shout out to everybody on YouTube. Shout out to everybody on Twitter Live, and we'll see the comments to see if anybody leaves a comment after this video, ask a question, and leave that wallet address.
We're trying to pay you. Like, let's not make this so difficult, guys. But great stuff today. We'll be back tomorrow with another live stream. We got a space tomorrow as well with a project called Mellow that we love. So we are, all gas, no brakes. And until then, we'll see you on the beach.